Good evening. I call this meeting of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD Board of Trustees to order at 7:02 p.m. on November 3rd, 2011. Please join me in standing as James Good leads the board's opening prayer.
Our Father, we come to you thanking you that you granted us this opportunity to be here this evening, and especially for all of the many people who are here, for our staff, especially for our students who are here, and for our guests who have an interest in our school district and their willingness to come here on an evening to be able to spend with us and to learn more about all of the many great things that are going on in this school district. We're always mindful, Father, of the challenges all of our students have as we address the many changes that's going on in the curriculum. We ask always that you will give the teachers the insight and encouragement to always be a positive influence upon all of the students as they are challenged with those changes. But Father, we thank you especially for the willingness and the success of our students academically. We thank you that we have a community that believes in public education, that believes in participating and being involved. And we ask that others will continue to stay the course and be a person of influence to all of our many students. Father, we're also mindful of the holiday season as it approaches. Especially we ask for the guidance and the safety that you can provide to all of our many students as they may travel, and give them safety, but also give them the enjoyment and the relaxation from school. Father, at this time especially, we ask your blessings upon the activities of the school board, that we will focus on all of the functions that are important to the success of our students, and that we will do all that we can to always help our students to be academically successful. And this is our prayer. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing as Richard Fleming leads the board in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for joining us tonight. As a district, we dedicate all our efforts and resources to prepare all students to meet the Texas Assessment of Knowledge and Skills tax at the proficient or commended level and graduate college-ready and/or workforce-ready without remediation. The board uses this vision to guide all deliberations, decisions, and actions. You will get to see all deliberations, decisions, and actions of the board in open session, with the exception of some items which may be discussed in a closed session as stipulated in the Texas Government Code Section 551, commonly known as the Open Meetings Law. These items typically deal with personnel matters, consultation with our attorney, and real estate. For the record, the entire board is here tonight. We constitute a quorum and can conduct business on behalf of the district. That being said, we'll go first of all to item number 1B, recognition of special guests and announcements. And one is recognition of VIPs. Dr. Burns.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. Welcome, everyone. We do appreciate your attendance here tonight and your support of our recognition for VIPs as well as our student recognition tonight. We'll begin with the VIPs, and tonight we honor the newest members in the very important profession of teaching program. And we've been honoring VIPs for over 25 years in this district. Our VIP program is our way of saying thank you to our professional staff for being innovative leaders in learning who diligently work to meet the needs of all our students. We want to recognize their efforts in making our schools a great place for quality learning to occur. To our honored guests, the Board of Trustees and the administration say thank you for being a member of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD team and for being an innovator who has a positive influence on the lives of students. Educators, please come forward when your principal introduces you to receive your certificate. And if there are staff members, friends, and family here tonight to celebrate this recognition, please stand as your VIP is introduced. And now, Ms. Klein, would you please join me in the front to recognize our honored guests?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Eva Medina Walker, and I'm principal of Blanton Elementary. Our Blanton staff and community are here today to honor Emilia Hatz as our newest member in the very important profession of teaching. Emilia is a kindergarten teacher and has educated and molded bilingual students for the last 3.5 years. Her patience, dedication, and quiet demeanor have proven very effective in working with students from different backgrounds and varying abilities. Her innate talent in helping students achieve and become the best they can be is evident as soon as you step into her classroom. Students who at the beginning of the school year came without much knowledge of a routine, letters, numbers, listening, responding to a story, and expressing their knowledge through writing, have achieved that and more in the past 2 months. Emilia firmly believes that teachers are engineers whose mission is to promote learning and critical thinking, and that everyone has the potential to be successful lifelong learners. Emilia's motivation to become a teacher stems from her belief that formal education is one of the most powerful tools to improve society. Emilia's life reflects her personal philosophy. She earned an associate degree as a classical ballet teacher in the prestigious National Institute of Fine Arts in Mexico City, and she continued her education graduating from the Universidad Autónoma de Mexico with a degree in pedagogy. She has shown her dedication to teaching by being a Cub Scout leader, Sunday school teacher, and summer Bible school leader for 5 years, and a classical ballet teacher for 27 years. She currently teaches classical ballet at the Ballet Academy of Texas in Capel. Emilia's family supports all her endeavors. Her family is comprised of her husband, Frederick, daughters, Emily, Greta, Lisette, and niece, Jimena. They will be cheering her on when she participates in the production of The Nutcracker at the Irving Arts Center next month. We are very proud to have Mrs. Emilia Hatz as a member of the very important profession of teaching.
Good evening. My name is Rhonda Shepard, and I am the principal of River Chase Elementary School. We are here tonight to introduce to you our newest member in the very important profession of teaching, Matthew Smith. Matt has been a 5th grade language arts teacher at River Chase for 3 years. Matt is not one to accept the status quo, but exhibits a commitment to excellence in all of his endeavors. This is evident throughout his efforts to ensure all of his students leave his classroom challenged to maximize the potential that he sees within them all. Matt is an educator that stands behind the mission of CFB. Matt brings creativity to the classroom and is always willing to go the extra mile to see his students succeed. He leads by example and truly cares about River Chase as a whole. In fact, many of the staff members have shared that Matt is a great team player and very encouraging of all teachers. This is seen through Matt's positive attitude and caring spirit toward the staff. Matt's contagious attitude was also reflected by a statement by one of his students who stated that Mr. Smith makes learning fun. Another student stated that Mr. Smith is very supportive, intelligent, and fun to be around. There are many other students who feel the same way about Matt. River Chase Elementary is fortunate to have Mr. Matthew Smith as a part of the CFB family and as a member of the very important profession of teaching.
She's so excited, she's going to head up there quickly. My name is Dan Ford, and I am the principal of Vivian Field Middle School, and we are here tonight to introduce to you and welcome Julie Shelton Benavides as a member of the very important profession of teaching. "5 years ago, at the district job fair, This young lady approached the Vivian Field table and dropped off her resume. I made it a point to speak briefly with her to ascertain if she was a candidate to further interview. Her response told me immediately that she wanted in the profession for the right reason. Julie cared about every student achieving. We interviewed Julie and came to the conclusion that she was the perfect fit for Vivian Field. Not to my astonishment, Julie received more than one recommendation that day. Vivian Field was glad that she chose us to make her home. Julie has grown tremendously in her short career. She currently holds the title of Instructional Facilitator, and she is an integral part of our Instructional Rounds team. Just recently, Julie's class was visited by stellar teachers from around the district, and their comments were amazing. I'll share with you a couple of comments that some of the colleagues around the district shared about you, Julie. Here's one quote from a high school teacher. "If you're teaching, regardless of the content, you need to see Julie." Here's another middle school teacher comment. "I have never seen wait time ever. She has it down." Julie embraces the CFB mission, and she is an innovative leader in learning. Julie sets out to accomplish what many teachers might feel impossible, and she reaches to prove them wrong. And Julie, Vivian Field Middle School and Carrollton-Farmers branch are indeed fortunate to have Miss Julie Shelton Benavides as a member of the very important profession of teaching.
Good evening, Dr. Burns and members of the board. My name is Larry Connor, and I am currently interim principal at Furneaux Elementary. But tonight, I am proudly representing Ms. Amy Miller from Rosemead. We are here tonight to introduce you to our newest member of the very important profession of teaching, our very dedicated third grade teacher, and I might add, administrator in waiting, Miss Shanna Brown. Before I begin, I want to go ahead and take credit for hiring her 8 years ago. Shanna is such an asset to Rosemead Elementary. She is the definition of a team player, always helping others, stepping in wherever needed, and answers the call whenever asked. This past year, Shanna completed her master's degree in educational administration and graciously offers her free time to be a part of the instructional leadership team. She is a valued member of our campus improvement team and is highly involved in instructional decision making at our campus. She's a problem solver, hard worker, never afraid to stay late or help in a difficult situation. Now, how do I begin to list all the wonderful qualities Ms. Brown brings to Rosemead as a teacher? Shanna holds strong belief to the fact that all students can learn at high levels. She works diligently to make sure students rise to her expectations. If something is not working for a student, she tries something else. I've never seen her give up or accept anything less than the best each individual can do. And they do it because they know that her teacher loves them. Shanna is flexible to work with and puts students and their school needs first. She is always willing to help and does it all with a smiling face and positive attitude. When asked to comment on Ms. Brown, one staff member hit the nail on the head. She said, "Shanna is reliable, organized, and dependable, and amazingly on top of everything." A parent said, "Ms. Brown is exactly the kind of teacher you want the child to have. She has high expectations and helps the kids to reach them. She is just the right balance." While at Rosemead, Ms. Brown has had the opportunity to impact many students over the years. Here's just a few of their comments. Miss Brown is very kind and loves to teach. She tries to make everything as fun as she can, and she is as nice as she can be to us. Lastly, one student simply said, "I love Miss Brown." Miss Brown is really what the VIP program is about. She goes above and beyond every student and every staff member at our school. Rosemead Elementary and CFB are indeed fortunate to have Miss Shanna Brown and as I lovingly call her, the whippersnapper, as a member of the very important profession of teaching.
Good evening, Dr. Burns, Board. I'm Jody Williams, and I'm the principal of Janie Stark Elementary. We are here tonight to introduce you to our newest member of the very important profession of teaching, Mary Beth Smith. Mary Beth, they all brought their books, even Miss Webb. Miss Smith is a fairly new member of the Stark family. Last year was her first year at Janie Stark, and she has already worked her library magic on our staff, our students, and our parents. Mary Beth started her college career at Winona State University in the cold state of Minnesota. She then became a legal assistant for 4 years because she thought she would get to do research, but it just turned into a lot of copying. Mary Beth then managed to move to the hot state of Texas. She attended UNT and received her teaching certificate. She then taught second grade at St. Monica's. She started her family with her husband, Jeff, and they had 3 children, 2 beautiful daughters and 1 hardworking son, all 3 CFB products. Mary Beth started spending a lot of time at the library in Farmers Branch and liked it so much she went to TWU and got her library certification and got a job at that very library. One of the teachers said about Mary Beth, she goes above and beyond the call of duty. She works very hard to ensure that the students are engaged in the learning and use the library resources to benefit their education. She is at school more weekends than not. She has hosted an American Girl night and a boys' night out to promote learning and reading. She even has more special events planned for us at Janie Stark. Janie Stark continues to be a great school because of dedicated educators like Mary Beth. Even though she thought she couldn't be a librarian because she was a party girl, we at Stark, yeah, you didn't think I'd use that, did you? We at Janie Stark are pleased that one day she met a very outgoing librarian who showed her that even fun people could be librarians. Please help me honor Mary Beth Smith as Stark's newest VIP.
Our next recognition tonight, the Whit Prairie principal, Ms. Brooke Purcelli, will recognize the school's award-winning bot ball team and coach. Ms. Purcelli.
Good evening, Dr. Burns and the board. During the 2010-11 school year, the DeWitt Perry Robotics Club competed in bot ball competitions at various locations across the country. For those who do not know, bot ball is a challenging autonomous robotics contest designed for middle and high school students. Students must design, build, program, and test robots to play an exceptionally challenging game. The robots must move and manipulate objects on a 64-square-foot game board. Moves that are executed correctly score points. Students build and program the robots using the programming language C. An advanced programmable controller directs the robots with sensors, motors, and even robotic color vision. The robots are not remote controlled, but instead are completely autonomous. The students must program them to react intelligently to the changing world around them. At the beginning of March, the club traveled to the University of Oklahoma for the regional competition against 35 other teams and won the following awards: first place overall, fourth place overall, first place alliance matches, first place seed rounds, second place seed rounds, first place documentation, first place on-site presentation, and the Judge's Choice Award for School Spirit. I think I need to have them come up to the front, don't I? Okay, we have 5 members of the team and their sponsor here tonight. I'm going to introduce them by name. There are about 30 total members, and they are very involved, and so several of them are at other band events tonight. But we have Tiffany Suradinata, Sarah Freeman, Amruta Diol, Sarah Hong, Grant Jubilee, and their sponsor, Mr. David Culp, here with us tonight. But I'm not done. I want to tell you about the competition that they went to in California over the summer. In July, they traveled to Anaheim, California for the International Bot-Ball Competition, which featured over 65 teams from around the world. The competition took place over 4 grueling days, and when the dust settled, the teams had placed 9th in the world overall, and they were crowned the most outstanding middle school in the world in a sport dominated by high schools. This is an amazing feat. The Bot-Ball team wishes to thank Advanced Academic Services and Jerry Charleboy for their continued support of this program. Thank you.
Good job.
Great job, guys.
That concludes our recognition. We do have some announcements we'd like to share with you, so if you'll turn to the screen, we'll show you some happenings in the district that are coming up.
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Board Announcements for the month of October. We are the students in the Academy for Media Arts and Technology at R.L. Turner High School in Carrollton, and we are pleased to deliver to you the important news you need to know about the Carrollton-Farmers Branch Independent School District.
Dr. Burns and his leadership team were really busy during the month of October honoring another set of schools who earned either an exemplary or a recognized rating for the 2010-2011 school year. An incredible 31 schools earned either one of those ratings last year. The schools visited in October were June R. Thompson Elementary School, exemplary; Charles Blaylock Middle School, recognized; Ted Polk Middle School, recognized; Central Elementary, recognized; River Chase Elementary, recognized; and to finish off our list for October, we have Bernice Chapman Freeman Elementary earned an recognized rating for the 2010-2011 school year. Congratulations to all of these schools for all of your hard work.
Another program that exemplifies hard work is the Newman Smith Band. With their awesome showing at the UIL competition, the Newman Smith Band is advancing to the State Marching Band competition, which is scheduled November 7th and 8th in San Antonio. We wish them the best as they battle bands all across the state of Texas. And speaking of competition, basketball season is getting underway at all of our high schools and middle schools in CFB ISD. For a schedule of upcoming games, please make sure and visit the athletic page on district's website, www.cfbisd.edu.
Another schedule that is very important is the CFB ISD holiday calendar for November. All schools will be closed the week of November 21st for Thanksgiving holidays. District administrative offices will be closed Wednesday, November 23rd through Friday, November 25th. The district offices and schools will reopen on Monday, November 28th. We wish everyone a safe Thanksgiving holiday.
Thanks for tuning in this week. Don't forget the school board will be involved in study work session on Thursday, November 17th at 6:30 p.m. at the administration building. Topics will include limited open enrollment and grade configuration. Our next regular school board meeting will be right here in the boardroom on Thursday, December 1st at 7 p.m. in the boardroom of the administration building at 1445 North Perry Road in Carrollton.
Well, that's it for us. We wish you a good night as we sign off from the Cozy AMAT Studios at R.L. Turner. Good night.
Ms. Klein, that concludes our recognition and announcements for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Burns. One of the neatest things we do get to do is recognize our VIPs. And we so appreciate the time that y'all spend in our schools and our classrooms working directly with our students and what you bring to help us achieve our goal of high achievement for all students. And it's always so rewarding to hear what y'all do in the classroom. So we appreciate you taking time out of your evenings to come here and let us help recognize y'all. DeWitt Perry Robotics, we get to approve an out-of-state travel request possibly tonight on our consent agenda item for y'all to go make another trip to Oklahoma. and we're proud of how y'all represent our district and with your achievements, and Mr. Culp, what you're teaching our kids about competing and using their brains. So thank you for what you do, and we really appreciate it. We're going to finish up with this item, which is item number 1. We're going to take a brief 10-minute recess and move to item number 2, and then after the report by superintendent, which is item 2, we're going to move on into item 3A, audience for guests. If anyone would wish to address the board during audience for guests, you may fill out the form found on the table outside the door to the boardroom, and please give it to Ms. Sharon Scrivener. She's got her hand raised over here, so that we'll know when we get to 3A that you would like to address the board. In the meantime, shows to be 7:28 on my clock, and we're going to let those of y'all that have something better to do than sit through the rest of our meeting leave if you'd like. But if you'd like to stay, please feel welcome, because we always like to have guests. So we'll see y'all back at 7:38. Thank you. We will reconvene at 7:38 with item number 2, report by superintendent. Dr. Burns.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. Members of the board, annually, the administration presents to you a district improvement plan. Certainly it's a compliance issue, but as well as it's an important issue that it guides our work in the district and in our quest to continue to have high achievement for all students. So I'm going to ask Dr. Mayer tonight to present our district improvement plan and the overall notion of work. So, Dr. Mayer?
Thank you, Dr. Burns. This year, we realigned and our strategic improvement plan, thus impacting our district improvement plan and the campus improvement plans. I truly believe we have the tightest alignment among those 3 plans that we've ever had, and we're very proud of where we are. Tonight, to kick off our presentation on the District Improvement Plan will be Mr. Matthew Pruitt, who is our District Improvement Plan Chair. But before I turn it over to Mr. Pruitt, I'd like to tell you a little bit about him. Mr. Pruitt teaches 6th grade at Polk Middle School, but that's not where he started in the district. He actually started his career in CFB at Sheffield Intermediate, where he taught 5th grade for 3 years, and he is an excellent teacher, I can attest. I've been in his classroom there at Sheffield before I ever went to Polk. He is from Grambling, Louisiana. He went to elementary, middle, high, and college there, and finally decided he needed to see a little bit of Texas, and ended up here in the Metroplex, and we're so glad he did. He describes himself as a workaholic. I said, well, tell me some of your interests, and he's a big LSU fan, and he's really excited about this Saturday's game between LSU and Alabama. He loves mom's cooking. He's a baby of 6 children, but he says he is not spoiled. And his career goal is to be a principal, and Matthew is going to finish his master's here in December, so that's right around the corner. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Pruitt.
Thank you, Dr. Mayer. Good evening, Ms. Klein, Dr. Burns, members of the board. I am Matthew Pruitt, chairman of the District Improvement Council and 6th grade history teacher at Ted Polk Middle School. I will be giving you an introduction to the District Improvement Plan. The goal of Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD is, as always, high achievement for all students. To achieve this goal, 4 supporting objectives have been identified. Continuously increase student achievement, continuously improve the learning environment for students and staff, continuously increase operational effectiveness, and continuously increase stakeholder confidence and support of our school system. The District Improvement Council is mandated by state law and is charged with providing advice to the superintendent regarding the planning, operation, supervision, and evaluation of the district educational program. Members of the DIC represent various stakeholder groups of the district. These include parents, business, administrators, and teachers. Each campus elects a representative to serve a 2-year term. Terms are staggered, so new members are joining the DIC each year. The DIC meets monthly during the school year, with the exception of December and March. Agenda topics include a district improvement plan, budget, calendar, and other matters as they arise, such as school start times. I would like to have any members of the 2011-2012 DIC to please stand at this time and be recognized.
You back there.
The vision of Carrollton-Farmers Branch Independent School District is that all students will meet the State of Texas Assessments of Academic Readiness, STAR, at the satisfactory or advanced level and graduate college ready and or workforce ready without remediation. Our district mission says, together with families and community, we commit all district resources to guide the learning of each student as a graduate, a responsible individual, a passionate lifelong learner, a complex thinker, and an effective communicator. In addition to these two important documents, the District Improvement Plan draws from the district's Statement of Beliefs and Graduate Profile. The Statement of Beliefs contains 8 tenets and begins with, "The economic, political, and societal success of our country depends on a quality education for all." It ends with, "Everyone is a teacher and everyone is a learner." The Graduate Profile addressed the need of our students to be responsible individuals, competent learners, complex thinkers, and effective communicators. Dr. Burns will now provide an overview of the Strategic Improvement Plan.
All right, thank you, Matthew. I will attest to Dr. Mayer's comments. I was in Matthew's classroom today, and it's phenomenal work that he does with our students, getting them active and involved and dialogued. And I don't know, I could have stayed in there all day long, but Matthew, we appreciate your work and also your work, which is extra work, I might add, that you don't get paid for, which is chairing the DIC. So thank you very much for your service. We won't spend a long time on the Strategic Improvement Plan because we've already covered this in several meetings, but we felt it important to provide this because it is the foundation for all of our planning. As Dr. Mayer said, we believe for really the first time we were very tightly aligned with what the board set out several years ago to say, as we move forward strategically, what do we always keep in mind? First, the goal, high achievement for all students, and then the 4 supporting objectives that you heard earlier. So we use those guiding objectives to guide all our work and to measure our success. Specifically, we believe we ought to have results for each objective. We are very performance-based. We are using data that reflects the investment that you make with your taxes and the results that we get toward achievement, and also with all of the objectives that we address. So I want to just briefly point out that our performance targets that we measure revolve around, first, our Academic Performance Index, which is measured by a company called Education Resource Group, which provides a very deep statistical analysis of how you're doing and then ranks you compared to the 200 largest school districts in Texas. The things provided in that academic index that obviously are reflective of our success are the new state test, which would be called STAR, previously TAX, you've heard of, as well as graduation rate, another critical component of a successful school district, and then also our SAT and ACT scores. In addition, we have performance targets under that objective that relate to the state's rating system, not to be confused with ranking, but rating system under TEA, which you may have heard in the past as being acceptable, recognized, and exemplary. And that is moving now to recognized distinction designation. So we will be looking at our schools and targeting where we want to be and obviously for all of them at the highest levels of distinction. And then the last one there, AYP, stands for Adequately Yearly Progress. That's under the federal accountability system, which measures all of our schools in terms of progress toward the the federal government's accountability targets. Our second objective deals with the learning environment. Our performance targets there that we measure our results. We do an employee survey every year for job satisfaction. We look at how our employees feel about their working condition, their benefits, etc. We know that our employees are the kind of the oil that makes the engine run, and they are highly talented in what they do. We want to make sure that we are providing the best working conditions possible for them and the best benefits. We also believe that our learning environment revolves around our students, obviously, because they're the ones in there that we're serving, and we believe their attendance and their discipline is critical to a learning environment that's conducive to achievement. Our third objective and our targets deal with the financial side of the school district, the operational effectiveness side. And we believe we have to use our resources carefully and wisely and get the most out of the dollars that we have. Unfortunately, the state has put us in a somewhat precarious situation, the fact that they're reducing our resources. Nonetheless, we don't reduce our expectations for achievement. Those are just some of the things that are involved in the financial performance index. And lastly, under our fourth objective, stakeholder confidence. We appreciate you being here tonight and hearing this, and our audience that might see it over the TV. It's a great school district. Certainly we have areas we can improve in, but as we move forward, your confidence in us is critical to our success. So we want you to see the data, see the results of our work. In the educational research group data that we collect, they do an overall performance called the Educational Productivity Index. Out of the 200 largest school districts in Texas, we are number 11. Okay? Pretty good return on the money that you've invested in us, and our quest is to continue to get better with that. The two pieces of that Educational Productivity Index are obviously the academic part and the financial part. And then also parent satisfaction. We do a qualitative survey every year to see our parents and ask them questions about the services that we're providing and that they're receiving, as well as we look at our employees and our district communications to make sure that we are communicating everything we need to our employees and our stakeholders. So that's the foundation of this house that we're building, and we believe that everything we do aligns to that. And as you'll see in a minute, our district improvement plan, which unites all the campuses together toward a common plan, as well as our campus plans, align under these four objectives. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Mayer to give you some examples of what's included in our district improvement plan. Dr. Mayer?
Thank you, Dr. Burns. What we're going to share with you now are some action strategies out of the district improvement plan. This is not an exhaustive list because we felt like that would be too long of a report, but we want to talk to you about some things that we believe are very important under each objective. The first supporting objective of continuously increasing student achievement. The first action strategy is expand instructional rounds. Instructional rounds sounds a little bit like medical rounds that doctors do in hospitals, and in fact it was actually patterned after medical rounds. It's where a group of professional staff members made up of principals and central office staff and teachers go into classrooms, collect what we call descriptive evidence to try to assist the school on the problem of practice that they've identified, something they'd like to improve instructionally, and work with that, do some analysis, and give them feedback on how to continue to improve. During the spring of 2010, there were a few staff members that went to Harvard. We were trained by the people who wrote the book, so to speak, on instructional rounds. And then last year, we had a pilot. We piloted 3 campuses, an elementary, a middle, and a high school campus with instructional rounds. And then this year, we're expanding rounds. We are actually in 23 of our schools conducting rounds, and we're very excited about this work. And in fact, we're going to bring a student achievement presentation forward this spring to talk more in detail about instructional rounds. The second action strategy listed there is pilot updated grading procedures. You might recall about 4 years ago now, I think it is, 3 or 4, the superintendent had a task force where we looked at grading to see if it aligned with the, at that time, new Senate Bill 2033, as well as just revisited our practices to see if they represented the current thinking and the best practices in grading and assessing. We did draft updated grading procedures. We shared those in the district last year. The procedures actually went through a couple of drafts. I think we're on draft 3 or 4 now. and ultimately decided to pilot at 5 campuses those grading procedures this year. Those campuses are Rosemead Elementary, Davis Elementary, Field Middle School, R.L. Turner High School, and Early College High School. Ms. Barber and I have facilitated that work and dialogue in the district, and we are this year meeting with those piloting principals, receiving feedback, and working through all the logistics. And we want to certainly recognize those campuses for navigating new procedures and helping all of us learn. The next action strategy is to implement new community of learners units for study for reading, writing, and word study at the elementary level. Last year, we shared with you we are restructuring some of our work at elementary level to guarantee that students are reading on grade level. We know that is the gift of elementary education, one of many, and so we restructured the infrastructure of support with specialists and coaches, but we also went back and have been rewriting our units on our community of learners, which is our curriculum that's online. And so we're getting a lot of positive feedback from teachers around the district about that work. Additionally, in our quest to make sure that all students are reading on grade level, we have an action strategy to provide intervention to accelerate reading levels of struggling students. We have a response to intervention program. It is a tiered program. So when students are struggling with the first level of instruction, they do receive pull-out special instruction with someone in a small group in Tier 3 with specific program. If that's not successful, then they move to what we call Tier 3. And so we have articulated that in the plan. We also this year have an action strategy that says we will provide training and implementation for Center for Mathematics Education Algebra 1 curriculum. We understand the importance of Algebra 1. It's sort of called a gateway high school course, if you will, to all mathematics instruction to follow. And the Center for Mathematics Education is a curriculum that certainly is looking at those concepts in a way that helps students understand them conceptually as well as procedurally, and distinguish between an algorithm and strategies, and really understanding what that algorithm is all about. Another reason we were interested in this particular program called CME Algebra 1 is that it is authored by the same people that authored our elementary and our middle school mathematics program, Investigations at elementary and Connected Math at middle school, and we are experiencing a lot of success there, and so this will fully align our math curriculum. The next strategy listed there is to strengthen the instructional infrastructure at the secondary level. Last spring, we brought I guess we would say restructured infrastructure at elementary that included support in the form of instructional specialists, literacy and math coaches, response to intervention teachers, all the people who help support and coach teachers and give them feedback that they deserve to be the best they can be. Teaching is complicated business. It is not easy, and teachers deserve support. That's the bottom line. We do not expect them to go in the classroom and figure it all out by themselves. So we feel we have a well-articulated, strong structure at elementary. We believe we have room for growth at secondary level. In fact, a board member, when we presented what we were doing at elementary, asked if what we were going to do at secondary, right, Ms. Webb? Yeah. So we remember that question, and that is an action strategy, and we are going to explore possibilities. We have some challenges with this action strategy because, as you know, we have some resource allocation challenges, and so we want to provide an infrastructure, but we will have to be mindful of those challenges as we do so. The next action strategy is to implement 9th grade graduation teams at the high school level. Those of you that attend board meetings will recall that a couple years ago, I think about 3 years ago now, we implemented graduation teams where we looked at senior students. Joe Gillen led that work, done an excellent job. We have graduation teams on all of our campuses, looking at senior students, making sure they graduate. A structure was put in place that was highly successful that began to beg the question, well, if this is so successful with seniors, perhaps we should start it earlier with freshmen and see if we can make sure that students are successful from the beginning of high school. And so we have basically taken that model and are this year working at using it with ninth grade students. The next goal is to, or supporting objective is to continuously improve the learning environment for students and staff. And the first action strategy there is still an action strategy that is in my division. I'm going to hand this over to Mr. Hyatt here in a minute. But providing professional development and foundation enrichment courses. We believe in this district that providing high-quality professional development attracts staff members to our district. We have a reputation and have had so since I've been here, and I don't want to tell you how many years that's been, but it's been a while, for high-quality staff development. We have teachers that say, I wanted to work in CFB because of the staff development and support that I receive. So that is an action strategy that's aligned under this particular objective. The other action items here, though, are in Mr. Hyatt's division. So
thank you, Dr. Mayor. The next action strategy is to provide modern technology tools to efficiently perform jobs. Now, the district will continue to maintain its technology infrastructure to support instruction and the business operations, but as a recurring theme, there's going to be continued challenges with the resources available to do that. But we feel like in our modern era and the modern evolution of our jobs as well as instruction, we must maintain a reasonable and adequate level of technology infrastructure in the classroom as well as in our business operations. So within the resources available and other sources, we will continue to identify methods to support and maintain that technology infrastructure as well as the instructional tools in the classroom. Next one is to conduct an annual review of teacher compensation with selected districts. We believe it's important to not only maintain for general business purposes, maintain an adequate compensation level, but to maintain competitiveness with our surrounding districts. We believe it's important to be aware of and monitor what our surrounding districts and competitive districts are providing in compensations. So we'll survey selected districts to ensure that we're compatible. In addition to this data, we'll use information available from the Texas Academic Excellence Indicator System and now begin utilizing information from the Education Resource Group. The next one was to finalize implementation of integrated financial accounting and personnel software system. This is a long-term process. We're actually in the third year of implementing this integrated system that combines both the student information, payroll and personnel information, and all our human resource and financial information. This last module we implemented was the finance module. We're just in the beginning stages of that this month. And as we complete that system, we'll have a total system-wide database to support all those applications. Next, we'll compile a teacher attrition report of the top 3 reasons teachers left CFB in 2010 and 2011. Similar to our compensation study, we think it's incredibly important that we monitor and understand why teachers and other staff elect to leave our district. While we recognize life circumstances encourage people to make personal decisions and make job changes, not only for personal reasons like spouses leaving, moving, just their own personal reasons and their life circumstances. We also want to monitor any unique reasons that might be environmentally related to us as an entity. If there's a trend of teachers responding to why they would leave our district for a reason that we can control, we need to be aware of it so that we can respond and react to those reasons and adjust our operations. Next we'll utilize district-wide communication system to update parents on student attendance. The district has 2 parent communication systems that we utilize. One is Blackboard Connect, which is a mass notification system. which automatically notifies parents each day if their student is absent through a telephone call and email. The messages are made in Spanish and in English, so we can communicate with all our parents, and parents are automatically signed up to receive Blackboard Connect notifications. The other is a parent self-serve system, which is a opt-in system for CFB ISD parents, and they may register for this system to check on student grades, absences, and etc. They also may elect to receive emails that will notify them of their students' absences and tardies. Next item is to develop an operation plan to address the budget circumstances for 2012-13. The 2011 legislative session created some very unique financial circumstances for school districts in Texas. School districts, including Carrollton-Farmers Branch, are faced with significant funding reductions with no direction or support in identifying solution. Over the next calendar year, we'll develop an operational plan in conjunction with our normal annual budget to address this budget dilemma. This plan will include overall financial condition of the district, alternative revenue sources, and ultimately cost reductions. In conjunction with our effort to address revenue losses, we'll use data provided by the Educational Resource Group to more efficiently utilize remaining resources. This use of the ERG Financial Performance Index will compare us to the top 10 ranked school districts in our category, in the top 200 largest school districts. In a period of declining resources, it becomes increasingly important that the limited available funds are used in the most efficient manner. Through ERG, we'll be able to compare our spending profile with those districts we believe are most efficient or are exhibiting high performance.
Thank you, Mr. Hyatt. And I'll finish up with our last objective, which is continuously increase our stakeholder confidence and support of our school system. Certainly, we believe that the performance measured with the analysis from the Educational Resource Group is vital to our continued success, as well as our addressing our financial issues. So we want you to have an understanding of that productivity index and what it relates to. Are you getting value of the money that you're investing through taxes for our system? We believe you are. We continue to find value for you, but we are also concerned with the huge mountain of deficits facing us in the future of that diminishing our effectiveness with fewer resources, and then what, as a board and a district, we can do to offset some of those things. Nonetheless, we want you to be aware, stakeholders, of the good investment and the return of that investment. We believe you need to know what's happening in the bright spots, what's happening in this district that we're extremely proud of. You saw a little glimpse tonight with our VIPs and our students. Many things to be thankful for in this district. We're very blessed for great staff, great students, great parents, and we want to continue to put that good information out there for you. As well as we believe we got to get out there and talk to our staffs about what's happening. We don't want them to hear through the rumor mill about what's happening in the district and what's happening possibly in the state. We want to get the facts out there and assure them that the district is moving ahead strategically with a lot of forward thought and insight in how we address a really severe blow to public education. As I can have the mic here to say that, the state of Texas has really thrown us a challenge in reducing our budget that much, and still the expectation for high achievement. But nonetheless, we are up for the challenge for our staff, and our students deserve still the very best. So we're very committed to that goal, regardless of the financial resources that we may be missing. So that concludes our district improvement plan. We are certainly proud that we were recognized last year as a district. I think we're even more excited and pleased with the fact that when you compare us to the 200 largest school districts, that we're performing in that very top 10%. And we'll continue to do that. And that is our goal, is to obviously be the best of that 200 in the future. So Dr. Mayor, you have any other concluding remarks, since you're the one that really heads up this district improvement plan?
We just entertain questions over any part of the district improvement plan at this time. Mr. Shore?
Dr. Burns, earlier in the presentation, you said something about the top 200 school districts in the state, and then in your concluding remarks, you repeated that.
Largest 200.
Largest. And you shared with us that we were ranked 11th out of 200.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That really puts us, if my math is correct,
top 5%.
just outside of top 5%.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's my question to you, okay? Where are we getting that information from? How do we know that we're just outside of the top 5%?
Okay. Well, if you recall, we had the developers of that analytical system come to work with the board and what the data is involved in that. So the Educational Resource Group takes all the data, as you saw there earlier, how we do on our state test, how we do on SAT, ACT graduation rates, and especially looks at how we do on commended scores, and then it does a regression model for our percentage of economically disadvantaged, and it looks at all those 200 largest school districts and says, this is how you're doing compared to the field. Relative to the field, this is how you're performing or your students are performing.
In what period of time was the data they utilized?
Well, we are a year behind because their data is a year behind, so we will not get the 10-11 data until this December, so we're looking at 9-10 there when we tell you overall we're in the 11, and then in the academic we're 17 with just the academic side of it.
But it was the 09.
Yes, sir. So we haven't had 10-11 yet. Yeah.
I know the answer to this, but isn't it true that you were the superintendent of this district at that time?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, and you had those people over there doing all the work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And all those people out there that you saw earlier, and those VIPs you saw sitting right here, absolutely. They were the ones in this district making that happen.
So we were, of the largest 200 school districts in the state, we scored about a 94.5 on the exam. Is that a fair analogy?
Yes, sir, it is. Now, I think it's critical to point out, though, that overall that's absolutely correct. When you look at the educational index, when you combine the achievement with the financial dollars, yes. We believe, though, it's more important to be at the top of that academic index, and that money, although it's an object, it shouldn't be always our quest to be the lowest spending at the expense of not being the highest achieving academically. But you are absolutely correct. Overall, that index puts us in a pretty elite group.
That makes it clearer for me. Thank you.
Board, are there any other questions or comments? I just wanted to thank the DIC and I noticed we have business and community representatives, parent representatives, administrators, and staff that make up the DIC, and I appreciate everybody that, would y'all, well, they already had some stand, but I'm not sure, did the business community representatives stand also?
Here this evening.
So,
Ms.
Rachel.
Lewis is there tonight.
Here we go.
Thank you. This is something really important that we do that helps us focus how we're going to achieve our objectives and helps us plan. So thank you, Dr. Burns, for this presentation.
You're welcome.
At this time, we're at item number 3A, which is audience for guests. The board encourages comments from citizens of the district or from district employees. Anyone wishing to speak, either as an individual or as a representative of a group, may do so at this time. We ask that the comments pertain to public education issues and be no longer than 3 minutes. Remember that the board may not discuss or act on any issues that are not posted on our agenda for tonight's meeting. There is actually one audience for guests that is regarding a posted agenda item, and if I may ask Mr. Holbrook, would you rather have your 3 minutes at the time of the agenda item, or would you like to speak during the general audience for guests?
I'll wait, ma'am.
You'll wait? And so what we'll do at that time is we'll let you speak at the beginning if that's what you'd like, or where, and so we'll move forward with that. So at this time, I have one audience or two audience for guests. The first one I have is Miss Rachel Lewis, and James Good is going to be running our timer. And please come to the podium, and for the record, please state your name and address, and we welcome your comments.
So we only got two? Okay.
Our second speaker will be Shirley Tarpley, so if you'll be prepared when Ms. Lewis is done, we would appreciate it.
My name is Rachel Lewis, and I live at 2017 Deerfield Drive, zip code 75007. I stand before you tonight because my heart is deeply saddened. Carrollton-Farmers branch professes to value diversity. However, CFB does not do much to support this claim. A prime example of a recent CFB decision that is very questionable was when Mr. Kim Holland, Executive Director of Student Services, left 2 months ago. Instead of promoting Dr. Patricia Franklin, a black woman with a doctorate degree who was already doing the job and has been an administrator in CFB for over 15 years, you chose to elect Ms. Joanne Gillen, a white woman, to take over his division. Ms. Gillen has 0 administrative experience, and she does not have administrative certification. Yet you placed her over the division that advises and works with administrators on a daily basis. I guess this is because you got away with this behavior last year when you put her over the counselors within the district and promoted her to executive director when she has never been a school counselor. This is clearly a case of racial discrimination, which, by the way, is against the law. This is unacceptable, unfair, and unjust treatment of a highly qualified individual. It is also clear that this is a case of favoritism of a white employee who is not qualified to hold the position. This is by no means an attack on Ms. Gillen. This is an attack on racial discrimination. She is in a position that should have rightly gone to Dr. Patricia Franklin. This wrong and injustice need to be corrected with all haste and diligence. This is very upsetting to the black community, and it should be upsetting to the CFB community as well. In the words of Dr. King, a right delayed is a right denied. This is the worst case of judgment and management of CFB personnel I have heard of to date, and it is solely based on race. CFB needs to live up to the claim of valuing diversity by making personnel decisions that reflect blacks and other minorities in high central office leadership positions. Roger Starbuck says discrimination is a disease. CFB is sick with a disease, and we need a cure. Diversity in central office is critical. We need central office administrators who understand what discrimination feels like. And if you have never been a minority, then you don't get it at all. We need central office administrators and student services who understand what inequality feels like, who understand the subtleties of unfair treatment, and who are willing to help make the system work for all people. Racial discrimination still exists. It is alive and well in CFB. We should not take this
Ms. Lewis,
lightly,
your 3 minutes are up, so
nor...
a few more seconds, please.
I'm almost finished. Okay, thank you. We should not take this lightly nor for granted. Ending racial discrimination and favoritism in CFB employee selection can be accomplished only by taking a stand. And I take that stand tonight and challenge each of you to take the stand with me. Never forget that everything Hitler did in Germany was legal. You may not see anything wrong with the way you handle this matter, just as Hitler did. And you may even feel you have done nothing wrong. But I'm here to tell you that it was wrong. And I will continue saying it until you make it right. The time is always right to do the right thing. This is the time, so do the right thing.
Amen. Ms. Tarpley? Ms. Shirley Tarpley, you're next. Please remember the 3 minutes.
I promise you I won't be that long.
Just one.
My name is Shirley Tarpley, and I live at 1507 Milam Way, Carrollton, Texas. I came tonight to speak on this racial discrimination, just as Ms. Lewis did. I had a meeting with Dr. Burns, and after talking with Dr. Burns and looking at the certification of Dr. Patricia Franklin and Ms. Joanne Gillen, I was not satisfied with the decision that was made nor the explanation from Dr. Burns. I promise you, if this injustice is not corrected and soon, I will travel to Austin, request that TEA look seriously into this matter, and as a last resort, I promise you, just as before, I will see you in court. Now, you have been put on notice.
So at this time, we're at item 3B. Those are our audience for guests, except for the one that we've moved to the item that it pertains to. Item 3 is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a mechanism that the board uses to approve a number of routine items together with a single vote. These items are routine in nature, and the board has had ample information in advance about these items. Tonight, our consent agenda item is 3B1, election of personnel. 3B2, consider out-of-state travel requests for Creekview students to travel to Spain June 18th to July 2nd, 2012. 3B3, consider out-of-state travel requests for R.L. Turner students to travel to France March 7th to 15th, 2013. 3B4, consider tax office report for September 2011. 3B5, consider quarterly investment report for the quarter ending August 31st, 2011. 3B6, consider resolution authorizing certain investment broker-dealers. 3B7, consider student organization budget spending plans from Creekview, Ranchview, Newman-Smith, and R.L. Turner High Schools for the 2011-2012 school year. 3B8, consider approval of amendment to lease agreement for cell tower space at Long Middle School. 3B9, consider RFP number 11-10-051-1 for ESL bilingual materials. 3B10, consider RFP number 11-10-061-1 for math supplies. 3B11, consider approval of purchase of new signage for high school cafeteria serving lines. 3B12, consider acceptance of purchasing report for the period October 6th to November 3rd, 2011. 3B13, consider exercising the extension option of RFP number 08-10-091-3 for alarm monitoring service. 3B14, consider exercising the extension option of RFP number 10-09-141-2 for electrical supplies and equipment. 3B15, consider exercising the extension option of RFP number 10-10-141-1 for HVAC contracted services. 3B16, consider exercising the extension option of RFP number 10-10-121-2 for charter buses and rental vehicles. 3B17, consider exercising the extension option of RFP number 10-09-081-2 for science supplies. 3B18, consider declaring furniture, audio-visual equipment, and technology equipment surplus and authorizing them for disposal. 3B19, consider approval of minutes of Board of Trustees special meeting held September 22nd, 2011. 3B20, consider approval of minutes of Board of Trustees work study meeting held October 6, 2011. 3B21, consider approval of minutes of Board of Trustees regular meeting held October 6, 2011. 3B22, consider approval of minutes of Board of Trustees work study meeting held October 13, 2011. 3B23, consider out-of-state travel request for DeWitt Perry Robotics Club to travel to the University of Oklahoma in Norman, Oklahoma, December 2nd through 3rd, 2011. That is the consent agenda for tonight. Board members, does anyone wish to pull any items from the consent agenda for further discussion?
Ms. Klein, I understand that there was an amendment to item number 19, minutes of the Board of Trustees special meeting. Given that, I would recommend that we approve the consent agenda as presented with including the amendment to agenda item number 19.
We have a motion. Is there any other discussion or a second? Mr. Good?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. All those opposed? There wouldn't be any. So thank you. Item 3C, consider annual investment report for the year ending August 31st, 2011. Dr. Burns?
Yes, Ms. Klein, I'll turn that over to Mr. Hyatt for an overview, and then we'll get started.
Thank you, sir. under the Public Funds Investment Act at the state of Texas, we're required to do fulfill certain requirements related to our annual investment function. This time I'll turn it over to Mr. Scott Roderick to explain these two items and recognize the Audit Committee for their recommendation. Mr. Roderick.
Good evening. This is item 3C. This is a requirement by the Public Funds Investment Act to submit a written report of investment transactions to the governing body or the Board of Trustees not less than quarterly. This item is the annual investment report for the fiscal year ended August 31st, 2011. The Audit Committee has reviewed the investment report and will make a recommendation to the Board. Mr. Fleming?
Yeah, I'd like to make a recommendation that we adopt the resolution.
So is that a motion?
Yes.
Second.
Second by Ms. Chaffin. All those in favor? All those opposed? That is unanimous. 3D, consider resolution adopting and reviewing the investment policy of the Carrollton-Farmers branch. Did we just do that?
Item D is also a requirement by the Public Funds Investment Act to review and to approve an investment policy and investment strategy not less than annually. This item is a resolution approving the investment policy of the district. The Audit Committee met earlier this evening and reviewed the investment policy and will make a recommendation to the Board as well.
I'd like to make a recommendation that we approve the resolution.
Second.
Is it appropriate to read the resolution, Mr. Hyatt, or are we okay?
It's not necessary if the board would like to. It's in your agenda package and it's been publicly posted, but it's not required.
Okay. So we have a motion by Mr. Fleming, a second by Ms. Chaffin.
Yes.
All those in favor? All those opposed? That is unanimous. 3E is consider extension of superintendent's contract, and thank you, Mr. Roderick.
Thank you.
For items 3C and D. 3E, consider extension of superintendent's contract. That is an item that we discussed at our last meeting, and we requested that this be placed on the agenda tonight.
May I make a clarification? In our last board meeting, we had the superintendent's evaluation, which was what was discussed, and as a result of the evaluation, this was requested to be put on the agenda.
Is there any discussion? Any action?
Yeah.
Mr. Short?
I think that we owe it to the district to examine the contract and to entertain whether we want to move to extend it. We all know what came from the evaluation, but perhaps more importantly was some of the data that we heard earlier this evening, where when you factor in the economic considerations and when you factor in the demographics of our district, I heard that we are 94.5 out of 100, okay? We're actually 11 out of 200, and I got my handy-dandy calculator, and I put 1% is 2 districts, 2% is 4 districts, and that's how I got the 5.5. I've been a board member for about 4.5 years, and I'm convinced that either the staff is doing remarkable things despite our superintendent, or it is within the realm of possibility that it is because of some of his efforts. Matter of fact, I've seen a few more wrinkles on his face, and his hair is thinning and getting closer to my color. I also would suggest that some neighboring districts are in the process of searching for superintendents. I personally don't think that our superintendent has his eyes on either of those prizes. But I do think that what will happen is that whoever is hired by those districts, that the market is going to go up. And those districts are going to be signing their free agents in the next 12 months. And I'm concerned that somebody else may try and use that as leverage. I also am of the opinion that it's pretty well recognized that anybody who's looking for a raise right now, it's not the best time to be doing that. And along those lines, I would argue that the compensation that our superintendent is receiving is a handsome amount. But if we can extend the period of time that we have our superintendent under contract, and if we're not increasing his compensation, then I say that's a pretty good deal. That's like locking in my electricity rates for a longer period of time. And I don't think many of us think that our electricity rates are going to go down. And so I have one more reason for what I'd like us to consider. The last reason, perhaps the most cogent and the most effective on the six of you, is you got to be tired of hearing me talk all this time.
Definitely are.
And so I'm about to throw out an idea that can perhaps
shut you up.
We'll come close, or at least for a year. For a year, I would like us to consider extending his contract by 24 months. That way, next year we don't have to do this. So,
or we do.
Or we do. If you need me to talk further, I'll be happy to continue this filibuster.
Are there any other comments?
What was your bottom line? I lost it somewhere in the middle.
I'm not going to do this yet, but I would like us to consider and discuss extending his contract by 24 months. And I intend to make a motion to do that, but I don't intend to cut off discussion at this moment.
Ms. Chaffin?
It's a very interesting concept. I don't know that I've seen a school district do that.
You see that word
but we are absolutely innovative, and Dr. Burns, we all think that you've done an excellent job, and the leadership that you've shown with your staff and what we've been able to do for kids is really excellent, and we appreciate that. And clearly, there's no money for a raise at this point. So I do think that it would be a very strong vote of confidence in what you have done and what you continue to do, and where your heart is for the kids in our district. I think that's an excellent idea, Frank. Thank you.
For what?
Well, I'd like to say that it's lucky we don't have to pay him by the hour, because we would be broke.
I'd talk a lot less.
And I'm wondering why we don't consider the three-year extension for 36 months.
I think what Mr. Shore presented was, what the item was to extend it. Right now, typically it would be to add a year and bump it to make it 3 years total.
So it would be a
And what Mr. Shore is recommending is 2 years on top of 2, so a 4-year contract.
That's what I'm going to move when the discussion concludes.
Right. So, unless you wanted to extend that even further, Ms. Watton.
So at this time, are there any other comments, or are we ready to move forward? Mr. Shore?
I move that we have our silk stocking lawyers draft the paperwork such that we extend to our superintendent the opportunity to continue working here, which all of us should cherish, and that I would move that we extend it by his current contract by 24 more months.
A second. Thank you, Ms. Watton. All those in favor? All those opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Burke.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Klein, members of the board. I do want to say, though, that that work is attributed to the staff. They're the ones that make it happen, people over here, the people out there you see. So I'm very honored and privileged to be able to lead them, but make no mistake, they're the ones that are responsible for the results we have. So thank you.
We thank you for your efforts.
Item 3F is discussion of all matters regarding the operating and sharing of concessions at Stanridge Stadium. Our audience for guests, Mr. Holbrook, would you like to speak at this time? And I'll just remind you of the 3-minute time limit, and you can, Mr. Good will be keeping track. And if you would just please state your name and your address for Ms. Scrivener's record.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Dave Holbrook. I live at 2706 North Surrey Drive, Carrollton, Texas. I currently have a daughter at R.L. Turner in the Biomed Academy and a daughter at Ted Polk. The feeder school for Ted Polk was Country Place. Having a daughter at R.L. Turner that plays sports put me in a position to be in the booster club for the volleyball team. And the position that I hold is fundraising. Fundraising right away took on extra meaning when we were informed of the budget cuts that came out. All of this seemed like not really much until homecoming for the football team at R.L. Turner. And we were out selling water and soda in the parking lots for the parade and that type of thing. And then Friday night we went to the football game, and I saw the line at the concession stand. The line was at the concession stand from the time I got there until 3 hours later when I left. I thought, man, we are going to make a lot of money tonight. I went back to the school the next day and said, God, that line was out the door all night long. That money doesn't go to anywhere except for the Newman Smith, in particular one entity at Newman Smith, the Newman Smith Band. Well, how can this be, I asked. That stadium is home stadium for 4 high schools: Turner, Smith, Creekview, and Ranchview. How could this be that the home stadium for 4 different high schools is only serving one entity at one high school, the Newman Smith Band? So I contacted the stadium, talked to Mr. Mark Hyatt. He gave me some information, gave me a little history on it. In the late 90s, it wasn't being run too well, so they bid it out. The band won it, and they haven't looked back. There hasn't been a serious contender since the band won it. They have not given any money to anybody except for the Newman Smith Band. The money that we're talking about, in a time when $9 million was cut out of the budget last year, $19 million will be cut out of the budget next year. $146,781 was gross sales at at Standridge last year. $59,910 was cost. These costs included subcontractor for food and labor, $30,796, food and drink supplies.
Mr. Holbrook, just be aware that the 3 minutes is up, so if you could wrap it up in like the
Okay.
next.
Bottom line is, I know that Standridge Stadium has to turn a profit, and the district expects their $5,000 or $20,000 out of it annually, and $66,326 goes to the band, Newman Smith Band. I think there's a more effective way for all 4 schools to realize money out of this than to bidding it out, letting one entity take all of the money. I've been talking with our school. I have contacted some people at the other school. I was asked to give this meeting before I gathered all my information. I have a dossier at work that I'm building that I will bring back to this board at a later date, but I do believe that it can be run as efficiently as it's being run right now. You stated that your bottom line is it has to be run. It has to be manned 24/7 whenever there's somebody or an event there. I understand that. I understand that for the last 15 years, since 1997, whatever, the band has had it, and they've done a remarkable job. 6,700 total man-hours
Mr.
last
Holbrook.
year. I understand that.
Okay.
But I also think that what's fair is fair. And the community stadium serving one entity, the Newman Smith High School Band, is not only unfair, unjust, it's a crime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, Mr. Fleming requested this item Friday afternoon. So, Mr. Fleming, do you have anything you'd like to present?
Well, I mainly put it on the agenda because I had several constituents email me the request, and I've talked with Mark Hyde, and I just Mark, if you want to explain a little bit for the public.
First, let me see if Mr. Shore wanted to speak.
I want to pose a question, Mr. How much time would you need to have the information that you want to have be able to present?
Well, what I have to do is the first thing that's got to happen at R.L. Turner is we have to become an all athletic booster. We're not right now. We're different entities. We're having a meeting next week where we're supposed to come together. Once that happens, we become 501(c). I can talk to the other schools, Ranch View, Creek View, the head of their all booster clubs. Once I do that, I know that we can't go in there as a separate entity and unseat them. But I think a month,
Let me tell you why I pose the question, okay? Because it's pretty clear that whether we address this today or in January, February, and I don't want you to feel that you were not given adequate time.
Oh, I understand that. I understand that I'm coming into something that's not going to be fixed this year. But I have a daughter that's still with Ted Polk. I have 5 years. Okay. By the time I leave in 5 years, by the time my second daughter goes away to college, this will be fixed. This will be done.
If we were to not address this tonight, other than to make certain that we put it on an agenda in February, in the neighborhood of February, would you feel that you're not being listened to?
I think I'm being listened to now. I don't have a problem there.
As it's already on the agenda now.
I understand that, but I heard him say that he would like to have some more information to present.
Oh, I will come back at another time when I feel that I am ready. However, to get it on the agenda, I gladly came tonight.
Okay.
I felt that it's important. To have my daughter go to R.L. Turner and to be involved in the demographics that it is R.L. Turner, I wouldn't have her go anywhere else. She loves it there. I cannot honestly walk through those doors, though, and see what I see on a daily basis, and then go to Smith, and then go to Creek View, and then go to Ranch View, and then let's not talk about going north. Let's not talk about going there, because those schools just put us to shame. The whole CFB ISD, as far as this, okay, as far as this, what they can provide. We're not being provided the opportunity to provide because the home stadium is taken away from us before we walk through the door. Yeah, I don't see how it can happen. I just don't.
Mr. Hallmark, can I ask you, have you spoken with all the other organizations at Turner to see if they would be willing to
No, I
have
have talked to a few of them. I've talked to the principal. I let her know what I'm doing. I've talked to a few of my peers there. We were supposed to have a meeting to turn all blue in October, but she felt it would be better to wait until football season was over with, which is tonight, to have this meeting. And that's the direction she wants to go, and that's the avenue I would have to go. And then once I get a buy-in there, then I can more confidently talk to the other schools. Mr. Hyde has made it real clear that the band does a good job at it. And from what I see, I understand they do a good job, 6,700 hours. You know, that's roughly $10 an hour that they're making. If you look at the funds that they're making, they made $67,000, $66,890 last year. So right under $10 an hour every time they're there for a man hour. That's good money. The band, Newman Smith Band, gets to do what they want to do with that kind of money.
And I think if you can get them all on the same page,
Yeah,
the problem is that, and because I've been in Turner for 45 years with children and grandchildren, and we did do that at one point where we tried to make it a
Ms. Watton, can you move your microphone closer to you?
We tried to do it where we could have one booster club for all organizations. And what happened is that one group ended up doing all the work, you know, either volleyball or the band. But we had a hard time getting the football parents. We had a hard time getting the tennis parents, the other parents to buy in, to work into it. They were perfectly happy with having one group and one club. And we even tried, we even put in a bid for the concession stand that year. And we could not get enough people that would commit to working it. So I think it's...
And taking a look at 6,700 man hours for the year, there's no way that I can look at this and tell the group, hey, I think I can get it done at R.L. Turner. I don't think I can get it done at R.L. Turner. However, I think that if R.L. Turner goes in with Newman Smith, goes in with Ranchview, goes in with Creekview, the Newman Smith Band can still make their money at it, but we will augment them as a group to get the funds dispersed to the community, which it is a Standridge Community Stadium. That's all I'm suggesting.
Well, I think, I'm totally on board with whatever you can do, but I'm just saying that those are kind of the dangers that happen.
I've heard this, what you're echoing since day one.
Now, what I like to see is there's plenty of concession companies out there, and all we have to do is have one concession company or several bid on it, and then all the funds go to the all booster clubs for each high school, whichever's playing that night. I mean, I think it's a simple solution. So, I mean, you bring in a concession company, 3 of them, you bid on it, and then from there you decide on where the funds are going. There's plenty of them out there.
The prices seem more reasonable than at the airport.
Doing that? Oh, yeah.
The prices seem more reasonable than what you pay at concessionaires.
They do it for a percentage, but at least you don't have to worry about manning it and taking care of all the dates. So
I think there are options, and that is something that the staff has to consider. And I think that when it is appropriate to bring back, if there is a discussion for the board to have, we would welcome the staff requesting to post that.
Yeah, Ms. Klein, members of the board, if I say, we appreciate Mr. Fleming putting this on there, and certainly we'll take direction from the board what you'd like to see in terms of information, and we can bring that back to you. And Mr. Hyatt probably has the most knowledge about it, but at the same time, it would require some diligence on our part to make sure we covered a lot of unanswered questions that were here tonight. So, Mr. Hart, do you want anything to that, or?
We'd be happy to bring some information back. I talked to Mr. Holbrook, and this isn't the first time this has come up. We've kind of gone down reviewing this structure of this arrangement several times since I've been here. As Mr. Holbrook pointed out, the real dilemma, and candidly, I'm not sure how Newman Smith does it, but to get the staff commitment from volunteers on a regular, reliable basis is pretty difficult. I mean, I know everyone on this board does volunteer work, like at least once a month on Thursday night. So I mean, to get people committed to come work at a football game where their kid might be playing and they can't watch, or their kid might be performing, and so they're going to have to watch. It's pretty difficult. And as I indicated, Mr. Holbrook, I'm open to looking at viable alternative proposals. But right now, what I understand my primary objective is to guarantee that we have a reliable, dependable, consistent concession service in the stadium. Second to that, at no cost and no effort to the district, we generate between $15,000 and $20,000 a year from that program. Dividing it up, I've been in an environment where you divide it up between multiple clubs. For anybody who's ever tried to share a job with 3 or 4 other organizations, it's very difficult, and I will just tell you it will require some effort and some management to provide that to happen. But if that's what the board's direction is, I mean, we can work it. I mean, concession stand shouldn't be our prime mission. It's not, and my commitment is to try to make it as least of an impact to our operation, so we can address that prime mission. Mr. Fleming's suggestion about a commercial vendor to provide it and then divide up the proceeds is a good one, and honestly one that several years ago we looked into. Unfortunately, when a commercial vendor has to provide that 6,000 or 7,000 man-hours of labor and pay them, the profits aren't nearly as great. Mm-hmm. So at the time we looked at this, and honestly it has been many, many years ago, but it came down to the point of we didn't make any money if we had a commercial vendor do it. They would only provide the major events, the varsity games, and they wouldn't service the sub-varsity or the track meets or the minor events like that. And then they would just do it for whatever they could make, and there would be no excess profits for the school district. So for something that should be as insignificant as selling Cokes and popcorn at a football game, this is more complicated than it appears on the surface. But I'd be happy to put that in more clear context and try to maybe do a more official report for you after the first of the year. And if we can come up with a viable alternative proposal, we'll look at it. It's truly if there is a workable solution. The intent isn't to favor one booster club. Candidly, for the last 20 years, only one booster club's been able to represent that they could handle the job.
Mr. Hyatt, since I've been dealing with you, contacting you about this, you've always been, you haven't echoed anything that I haven't heard from you before tonight, which you presented to the board, and I really appreciate that honesty coming from you from day one, period. The solution that I keep coming up with, if I can have just another second, is when I saw the $6,700 and then the $68,000 that was made, math for Marines says that's $10 an hour, right? And that keeps coming to the forefront, my solution. That I told you that I would give you a solution, and I'm not there yet. I'm just at the genesis of this.
Sure.
But my solution keeps going to, if you have a home event there, you send some bodies there, and the band pays you $10 an hour, and however many people you were there, that they didn't have to have their people working, because I'm sure that they're tired. I know some parents that have been band members, and it's not, you ask how it happens, it's not an option. If you're a band member, your child's in that band, you will do 20 hours a week. That is pulling. They told me you will do so many hours. It's not an option. Your daughter's in the band, your son's in the band, you will do it. So. I thank you for your time.
Mr. Holbrook, we appreciate your passion that you show for the kids, and
I got 2 daughters, 5 years left for senior.
well, no problem. At this time, that was item number 3F. We are at item number 4, comments from board members. Board members, are there any other comments you wish to make at this time? Hearing none and seeing none, we're at item number 5. Closed meeting is authorized under Texas Government Code, including but not limited to Section 551.071. Do I need to read all this, Lynn?
Not if we don't have anything.
We do not have anything for closed meeting that I know of. Does anyone have anything? Item number 6, Dr. Burns, do you have
No,
anything?
ma'am. Administration has nothing.
Item number 6 is reconvene public meeting, so we don't need to do that either. Item number 7 is adjournment. So it is
Thank you.
8:52. We appreciate everyone that came and joined us tonight.
You guys.
Appreciate your input.
Good job.
How did that happen?
What's up, buddy?
Good job.
Yeah.
Done before 9.
Yeah.
I don't think